Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our weekly webinar. We're just giving everyone a few seconds to join from the waiting room. And we can go to the next slide. So thank you so much for joining us again this week. This is our weekly webinar about the HEALEY ALS Platform Trial. As always, we are here to take your questions, so feel free to type them in the Q&A box. And tonight I'm particularly excited because we have fantastic guest speakers. And in addition to Dr. Cudkowicz and Catherine Small, who are here with us weekly, we have Sarah and Amanda from the ALS Association. If you can go to the next slide. The ALS Association has been supported the launch of the trial, and we always love to have our supporters join us to tell us more about the great work they are doing. We had Jen DiMartino from ALS One last week, and really excited to have the ALS Association this week. So I will turn it over to Sarah and Amanda, and I would also ask you that you share what you're most excited about. I know there's a lot going on at the ALS Association and things that we want the community to know about. So I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful, thank you. It's so great to be here and have the opportunity to talk to this group. So I'm Sarah Parvanta. I'm the Senior Director of Mission Informatics at the ALS Association. So I do a lot of work with data in different ways. I'm trained as a social scientist and a survey-based researcher. And a big part of my role at the ALS Association is to direct the ALS-focused survey program that Amanda and I are going to talk about today. But first, we'll have Amanda introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Thanks for having us. So I'm Amanda. I am the Associate Director of ALS Focus. So I handle all of the logistics and planning behind Focus. If you send us an email, that's me who will be most likely replying. I have been in this role for just over a year. I have a background in public health research and community engagement.
Thanks, Amanda. We can go to the next slide. So we are really excited, I think, to talk to you about ALS Focus. It is a research study conducted through the ALS Association. And actually, we partner with MGH on different aspects of this program. So that's an exciting connection here. So through ALS Focus, we carry out large online surveys throughout the year with people with ALS, current caregivers, and past caregivers to measure their needs, preferences, and experiences. And then a unique feature of Focus is that we're able to share the data and the results from these surveys for free worldwide with the objective of improving ALS research, advocacy, and care. So I know that this group here is really interested in ALS research specifically, and Focus data can be used to inform patient-focused drug development and the way that clinical trials are designed, according to preferences of people with ALS and caregivers. So that's just one reason that we're very excited to be able to talk about Focus today and tell you how you can participate in this research study. You can see on this slide that data from ALS-focused surveys are de-identified, meaning we remove any personally identifying information from the data before we analyze it or before we share it. And this is an important aspect of ALS Focus because the study has been reviewed by an IRB, which is an institutional review board, much like you're probably familiar with hearing about related to clinical trials. We're following the same ethical and rigorous research principles that any scientist would follow. And so the data privacy methods that we use for Focus help to ensure the research is very low risk for participants. We never share identifying data, only anonymous responses to survey questions. And again, we want this data to inform clinical trial design, care and service programs, and public policy. So we design our surveys to help with those kinds of important issues. Who's eligible to participate? It's people with ALS, current caregivers, and past caregivers who live in the United States and are at least 18 years old. So it's a really open set of eligibility criteria to encourage a lot of participation. The surveys are in English and they're conducted online. And so that's a way of making this an opportunity to take part in ALS research from the comfort of your home, which is another important part of this study. So if you are using a computer or a smartphone, or if that's difficult to do, a proxy is able to take ALS focus surveys on behalf of someone with ALS. And again, we do that to make this study as accessible as possible because we want to hear from everyone in the community. If you can go to the next slide, please. Another, I think, unique and really amazing part of ALS Focus is that a committee of people with ALS and caregivers is involved in every aspect of this research that we're designing and carrying out. They help with survey topics, questions, usability, and other research components, because we want to make sure that these surveys kind of reflect the needs of the community and bring those needs front and center so that we can help quantify what's important to them. Rather than us deciding that, we make sure that this study is really driven by people from the community. So Focus started in 2020, and since then, over 3,000 people have participated, and we've run over 10 different surveys. And the more people who participate in Focus, the more responsive and accurate the study will be. And so you can think about it literally like power in numbers. So survey data can be a really powerful tool for informing scientists and other leaders on where to focus their decisions and where to focus their resources. And so we hope that community members who are attending this call and watching this call later will sign up for Focus and also spread the word to people in their network to be part of this research study. And now Amanda will tell you about the process for signing up for Focus and taking the newest survey, which fortunately is really simple. So Amanda?
And next slide, please. So hopefully after hearing all of this, your first question is, how do I participate in Focus? To register for Focus, you go to www.alsfocus.org and you click the big red button that says click here to take ALS Focus surveys. That takes you right into our survey platform, which is called Qualtrics. And from there, you answer questions and follow the instructions. You'll put in your email and immediately start getting our latest surveys directly to your email inbox. It takes about 15 minutes to register completely for Focus. You can register at any time of the year. Any person with ALS, a former or current caregiver, as Sarah said, who's over 18 and living in the US is eligible for Focus. And if you want to hear more or find out more information about registering or just find details about our research study, you can go to alsfocus.org. Next slide, please. Because we know that mobility is such a huge part of living with ALS, we know we have a lot we want to continue learning from the community on this topic. And so we're really excited to have our newest survey on mobility at home, which launched last month. This survey focuses specifically on equipment that's used for getting into and around your home. We spent a lot of time with our patient advisory committee and our care services team to develop survey questions that we hope feel very relevant to you. And we think this data will be an important tool for understanding people's needs around in-home mobility equipment. And we'll use those results to advocate for expanded care overall. So the Mobility at Home survey, it asks about 8 types of equipment that people with ALS often use around their homes, such as lifts, beds, home elevators, things you might already be familiar with. We also ask about home modifications and renovations. Your responses help us measure access to, costs of, and quality of this equipment. The questions are things like, were you able to access the equipment that you needed? If so, how did you cover the costs? Did you receive it on time? Did you need to make any modifications to your home? Those kinds of things. It takes about 20 minutes or less to complete the survey, just depending on how much equipment you typically use. And again, you can sign up at alsfocus.org. If you've already signed up for Focus in the past, or if you've already signed up for Focus in the past, you should have already received an email invitation to your inbox for this new survey. But if you haven't seen that, or you can't remember if you've signed up in the past, you can still go to alsfocus.org. You can click that red button and fill out your email, and it'll tell you if you're up to date on our surveys or not. And then once you take the survey, we really encourage you, if you would like to share it with others in your networks, at support groups or other ALS community groups that you might attend. The more people we have in Focus taking our surveys, the more responsive and accurate our research is. And this particular survey is open until October 23rd. So if you want to answer those questions on mobility at home, you need to sign up and finish that survey by October 23rd. But as I said, you can register for Focus year-round at any point, whether or not we have an active survey open. Next slide, please. And that's it. Thanks to everyone for taking the time to hear about this. We're really encouraging everyone who's eligible to register so we can have as many numbers behind our data as possible. It helps us make sure that your perspectives and needs are included in ongoing research, policy decisions, and care services programs. And we just really want to learn from your experiences living with ALS so we can continue to improve care and research across the country. And Sarah and I are happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll provide a quick update on the trial, and then we, while people type questions for you, then we can go back to you. First of all, we share the same commitment to really listening to the patient voice. And in fact, we have a wonderful patient advisory committee that helped us really design the trial. And the trial continued to grow since we launched. We launched in 2020. We support from many and lots of patients and caregivers giving us input on the design, and we continue to grow. Right now we are completing regimen E, which is the 5th drug that's been tested in the platform trial, and we are open for enrollment for regimens F and G. So essentially right now we have lots of spots available for people who are interested in participating in research and participating in the platform trial. In particular, we have 2 regimens open, regimens F and G, and each regimen really works similarly. So for each regimen, there is a first period, which is a randomized placebo-controlled trial that lasts 6 months, followed by an active treatment extension where participants who complete the randomized period can receive active treatment long-term. Next slide. And so just to give you a sense of where we are with regimen F and regimen G, we're now about 50% enrolled in the regimens as a whole, and so we're very excited about the progress in regimens F and G. But we certainly have more spots available. So thank you so much for your partnership in ALS research, and certainly we value your contributions, your participation, and please help us spread the word, because we want to complete enrollment as soon as possible, so that we can evaluate the effectiveness of the drugs. Next slide. And we are currently enrolling at 62 sites. Our goal was originally to go above 60, so definitely we are very excited to have more than 60 sites enrolling, and we're adding a few more. We're happy to offer these many sites. Please contact your site if you want to have information about how to enroll at the location near you. Next slide. And this is actually a way for you to check the status of your site. If you want to learn if your site is recruiting or not, you can take a look at our website. We have QR codes and links throughout the slide deck. And so you can always refer to them to see where the trial is available. And importantly, we also have trial contact information. So for every site, there is a specific name and person that you can contact to try to be screened for the trial at that location. Next slide. But we do have a lot of materials. We keep these weekly webinars brief and really focused on your questions. And at times we have guest speakers, which are obviously very happy to have. But we do have a lot of resources that are available online. So there's a public website that has brochures and videos about the science that supports regimens F and G. We have a number of brochures and videos and recordings of previous regimens. So please check out our website if you want to learn more about these drugs. You can definitely use the resources on our website, or feel free to ask us questions, obviously. Next slide. And as always, we have a fantastic source of information for all people living with ALS, our patient navigator team, and so excited about Catherine being here. And she can take your questions by phone or email. And as always, we have a number of webinars coming up, and we also have a newsletter called the ALS Link. So we will be here next week again, and we're going to focus on expanded access programs, but then we're going to cancel the following week because we're traveling to a national conference. So just mark your calendars next week. Very excited to talk about EAPs. So I see a great question, and we can start taking those questions about the platform trial. Dr. Cudkowicz, can you tell us more about what we measure in these regimens? So what is it that we are trying to find out?
Oh, sure. Thank you. So we have several measures of efficacy, and that includes measures of function, the ALS Functional Rating Scale, breathing measurements, strength measurements. We're also looking at safety with adverse events and laboratory changes. And then for each regimen, we try to add some new outcome measures to try to learn more about the illness, including fluid markers. So we have spinal fluid collection in regimen F and G to look at fluid biomarkers. We have blood collections for neurofilament and other biomarkers, as well as we're testing a new outcome measure called ROADS, developed by Dr. Fournier in regimens F and G. We also are continuing to look at digital apps for voice in regimen F. Those are the big lists, but there are many ways to look at whether a drug is efficacious or not.
Great. And so while we're enrolling for F and G, we're also, completing regimen E, the previous regimen. Dr. Cudkowicz, can you tell us more about when we expect results for E?
Yeah, I don't have a date yet for that. We are the last person has finished the study, and so what we're doing now is finalizing data collection and data cleaning, and getting all the analyses back for the neurofilament levels and the other biomarkers from the different vendors. So I'm sorry, I don't have a timeline right now, but as soon as we know the timeline, we can share that. And of course, when we have the results, we'll share them at this forum and other forums.
Great. And we received a few questions for our colleagues at the ALS Association. So the first question I wanted to ask you, if anyone has questions about the survey or, how to fill it out or other technical questions, who should they contact?
Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, you can contact us at alsfocus@als.org, and we'll reach out to you directly.
Great. And so either Sarah or Amanda, can you tell us more about the research priorities of the ALS Association? What are you supporting right now?
I think I should encourage our colleagues on the research team to join a call in the future and answer that question. And I say that only because Amanda and I, our main focus at the association is the ALS focus study. And so we fortunately get to work alongside the research team who's setting up those priorities and thinking all of that through really thoughtfully. But I wouldn't want to speak for them. So I'm going to bring that question to them and then see how we can answer it either in written format or on a future call.
Wonderful. Yes. And actually, if I can ask, maybe if people have specific questions that, we want to relay to other members of the ALS Association. Obviously, you have many team members working on different things. Please feel free to send them to us, and we can also send it to Sarah and Amanda, and we'll make sure to get you answers as well.
Great.
Great. So Sarah, Amanda, what excites you about working at the ALS Association?
Ooh, I'll take that one first. I was just telling someone today what a fan I am of the place that I get to work and the people I get to work with. So many things, but maybe I'll relate it to this survey study that we're doing, which is, having a background in survey science and using it in different ways in the public health space and health communication and health programming. This moving into the ALS space has been different and so rewarding to capture those perspectives of the community members in a rigorous scientific way, to be able to apply those skills to this program so that we make sure that amplification of everyone's experiences is being captured and shared out in a systematic way. I think that's one thing that I'm so excited that I get to do at the association. And then, of course, the just wonderful, hardworking people on the care services team, on the research team, and on the advocacy team, all working together, and that we now have this opportunity to we use focus data to inform the work that they're doing as well. So we're quantifying that information that we learn from the community and then providing that evidence to the people that we work with so that they can incorporate it into the work they're doing and address those gaps. So a couple of things, but I could go on all day about that. But Amanda.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I became interested in public health because a family member of mine has a bleeding disorder. So I grew up in a community of people who have a rare illness and have unique and important needs to advocate for. And so that's a big passion of mine. And I find a lot of joy in getting to bring my experiences from that community and what I've learned as a public health research into the ALS space. And the people I get to work with, especially on our patient caregiver advisory committee, are the best part of my job. And it just makes me really excited to be part of this work, like Sarah was saying, where we're bringing experiences together and using those collective experiences to make change.
Great. Dr. Cudkowicz, a question for you. There's a question about the support from the ALS Association to the platform trial that we are updating the public about today. So the association made a 3-year commitment in 2020 to provide financial support of $1 million per year. So can you tell us more again about this support, or is there more support anticipated?
Sure. No, the ALS Association was really one of the first foundations to support the infrastructure part of building the platform trial. So we're very grateful, and that was a 3-year commitment, $1 million a year, and that has ended now. But it was really crucial for us to set up and get those first 4 studies off the ground. The nice thing about the ALS Association, they always have calls for grants, and now we're really thinking, are there other parts of the platform trial, like the biomarker development or these new outcome measures that we can apply for funding for, just like, other investigators can apply for funds.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and on that note, again, can you tell us more, Sarah and Amanda, about, like, we're coming up to, 10 years of the ALS Bucket Challenge. I know the ALS Association has, really supported a lot of initiatives, a lot of great research initiatives. Anything that you can tell us about, again, the focus directions of the association?
So I think that the Ice Bucket Challenge had these cascading impacts in a way so diverse and far-reaching, that for me as a survey researcher thinking about quantifying those is really interesting, because it touched so many different parts of change in the ALS space. And I do think with the association, the strategic directions that we're moving in and thinking about prevention and treatments and reducing harms, that's all made possible through the support that through the Ice Bucket Challenge and other, community commitments has created. So it's people can feel good about wanting to be part of that, because there's a team at the association that cares a lot about doing this right and doing this with urgency. And so I'm excited to see, with the 10-year marker coming up, I mean, how much, being able to look back at how much has happened since then, and then thinking about what's going to be happening after that. I think it's going to be a really exciting time, especially with the therapies that you're all testing in the HEALEY trial and all of the other therapies, in the pipeline. It's an amazing time to be working in this space.
Great. And Dr. Cudkowicz, I'll leave you the last word. I know that, as you mentioned, there's many grants, always calls for grants and requests for proposals from the ALS Association. And we know how critical all these funds have been to launch different initiatives, and they led to different, tangible, concrete deliverables like discovery of new genes and other things. So what excites you, Dr. Cudkowicz, about all these possibilities and really the engagement of the community, the funding, the impact it can have on research?
I'm excited by so much, but I really feel like we're finally turned a corner where we know enough about the biology that the treatments we're bringing forward have real chance of making a big impact. There's much more to do, and we need to keep funding basic science so we really understand the illness, but I'm really hopeful that we're going to be seeing, many more positive therapies, and have more options for the, people living with ALS and people we care for. So that gets me really excited.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Sarah and Amanda from the ALS Association. Thank you for your support over the years, and excited to see that you're launching new important initiatives. So we'll be sure to share the recording of this webinar with the ALS community, and we'll be back next week, and we'll talk about expanded access. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.